is the new iPad 10. The cheapest iPad now doesn't have an old design. It doesn't have outdated specs. It's currently one of the best Apple products if we're talking about value. Now this iPad does some weird things that I don't really understand why, just why. But anyways, this is the iPad 10 and this is my review. Now I love the fact on how far the iPad has come. I mean, look at this. This is the new budget iPad. And let me tell you, I mean, this does not look like a budget iPad. It's got pretty much the same design as the most expensive iPad Pro. With its new all-screen design looking really similar to the most expensive iPad Pro, it comes in 4 new, very vibrant colors, and I'm a really big fan of this blue, and I gotta say, this blue looks better in person. It looks beautiful. It's got a 10.2-inch display, which is a really good size for students. Now, the display itself is by far the weakest part about this iPad. Now, not because it looks bad, because it doesn't look bad at all. It's got a beautiful Retina display, and that's because the iPad doesn't have a laminated display, which means there's a gap between the glass and the actual screen itself. Like if you look, go ahead and go to the Apple Store and take a look at the display, you'll see the gap. You'll see the screen that's under the glass. Now, since the iPad now doesn't have a physical home button, they've moved Touch ID on the power button, which is pretty useful because you can add your index finger, you can add your thumb, and it's a pretty comfortable experience. Now, the heart of this iPad is the A14 Bionic chip, which is not the latest chipset ever to come on an iPad. Obviously, it's the equivalent to the chip that we got on the iPhone 12. So things like gaming, multitasking, graphic designing, or doing some lightweight video editing, it will do it without a problem. Battery life is something very important, especially for student, and it lasts up to 10 hours, which is pretty good. Now, the cameras. The cameras is probably one of the most exciting things about the iPad, because since the launch of the iPad, the front camera of the iPad has always been on the top. I've been asking Apple that since we're using the iPad always on landscape mode, since we're always using a keyboard now with our iPads, the iPad is not really a vertical tablet anymore. I often use my iPad way more on landscape mode. That's why Apple has finally done it. Apple has finally moved the camera from the top to the middle. So whenever I'm looking at the person on the FaceTime, for example, they will actually see that I'm actually paying attention to them. So happy about this little change. It's finally in the middle now. Yes. The budget iPad has always had Lightning, but now it's finally got USB-C, perfect to transfer all of those files with SSDs. Now this brings me to the most controversial topic about this iPad, and that's accessories. The iPad is compatible with the first generation Apple Pencil. Now, I don't know if you remember, but the first generation Apple Pencil is Lightning, and the iPad has USB-C. So there's no way on actually connecting your Apple Pencil. That's why Apple has released a dongle for your first generation Apple Pencil, which you connected to a USB-C to Lightning cable, which you connected to your iPad. Now this right here, a lot of people hate this. I don't really hate this because let's be real, your Apple Pencil charges in like 30 seconds, 1 minute to 2 minutes. So I don't mind this. What I don't like is this. I am personally someone who loses things all the time. And I just know I'm going to lose this tiny little thing, which is why it frustrates me. It frustrates me why the iPad isn't compatible with the second generation Apple Pencil, which simply snaps on the top of the iPad. Now, I get it that they wanted to make that an iPad Air 2 feature. Like, I get their reasoning. I just don't like their solution. I don't think this and this is the solution for me. And I'm just going to tell you a tip for all of you who are going to buy this. Keep in mind that you can actually charge your Apple Pencil with your iPhone. So let's say you were at a coffee shop and you forget this tiny little thing and this is out of juice. You can't connect your Apple Pencil to your iPhone. So keep that in mind. I want to know your thoughts down in the comments on what you guys think on Apple's reasoning on adding a dongle to the Apple Pencil. I just don't agree with it. I just don't like that decision. Other than that, let's be real, it's not the end of the world. This is really not the end of the world, okay? I mean, the tech community always makes it seem like stuff like this is the end of the world. It's not. No, I don't agree with it either, but let's just move on, please. I think this iPad has more exciting things to talk about Thank you. I think there's more exciting things to talk about, like the new keyboard, the new Magic Keyboard Folio that's exclusive only to the budget iPad. I don't understand how this keyboard is only available on the budget iPad. I don't understand how this keyboard isn't like an iPad Pro feature. I mean, it's such a good keyboard that it's sad to see it only on a budget iPad. Apple, please bring this to the most expensive iPad Pro and iPad Air. Please, I'm begging you, I need it in my life. Listen to this. This is my favorite keyboard. This is my favorite iPad keyboard that Apple has ever made. Now, why? It's a two-piece design, first of all. So you've got a case that just snaps on the back of your iPad, and then you've got this, which you simply connect. Then you want to detach that keyboard. Well, you've got a kickstand now on the back of the case, which you can comfortably use your iPad with a really nice view. Or let's say you want to lay your iPad flat. There's really a lot of ways to use this thing because I just love having a kickstand. But I also love having a keyboard. So this is like the perfect combo. And it even features a function bro with volume controls, brightness, media controls, and even lock screen controls.
Who wants a stylus? You have to get them and put them away and you lose them, yuck.
Now the Apple Pencil is not a stylus, and Apple has known that since its launch, and it's evolved to so much. I mean, it's the perfect device to write handwritten notes on your iPad. And I love marking up certain things on PDFs. I mean, I feel like the iPad isn't an iPad without an Apple Pencil. I use this thing so incredibly much. So who is this iPad for? Well, it's for people that want to buy an iPad and they're on a budget. They don't want to spend a lot of money on their iPad. I'm gonna say this, if you can't afford an iPad Air, I'd say the features, the power, the display, the Apple Pencil 2 capabilities, if you've got the budget for an iPad Air, get the iPad Air. If you don't have the budget for the iPad Air, I'm super happy to recommend you this iPad because it kind of sucked before, because you could either go with the cheapest old design looking iPad, which it wasn't really the best experience with a kind of an outdated keyboard. So if you can't afford that iPad Air, I'm super happy to recommend you the new iPad Air. Be happy, life is good, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
I'm gonna tell you that I love you 100 times a day.